I'm your host, Biggie Smoke, here again, hopefully this time for the actual race here in HRL. And so, we'll actually just be doing the race because with the time constraints and issues that we've had with the lobbies and stuff and just some mess ups, we'll be just doing the race, no quali, same format, everybody's just in order of their time trial leaderboards. That's all right. Just people have time limitations. But regardless, this brings me to again what the championship picture looks like. So, what the championship picture looks like. If you watched the other stream, you already know. But if you didn't, this is the the big notes, anyways. So Vic Wick still leading the championship, although out of the championship permanently due to a work trip. Alfie Jones, he's P2 with 116 points. Didn't do well in China, unlike Michelle, who did do better but ran out of fuel at the line and unfortunately was not able to overtake Alfie Jones in terms of points, but is 1 point behind at 115. Teo's been on a good group of form at 61 points and had two good races where he's finished P2, both Australia and China. And Sashing is the big jumper as he's gone up 8 positions with that win there in Shanghai last race, and he's looking really good, at least riding a high of momentum. We'll see if he'll be able to ride it out and ride the wave into this race. Now, as for the Constructors' Championship, Aston Martin still leading at 202 points, but Ferrari brings in a big haul to close that gap up to 25 points and be at 177, and Red Bull at 146 in third. But anyways, 5 red lights, and we are racing here in Azerbaijan. So as we're going to see Alvarez going down the inside on Don Charles on the inside of Alvarez. Alvarez going to hit the Williams. Williams into the wall. That's Alex Mahidas. Into the wall. We see some carbon fiber over the track. Tom in the back of that too. There's been some incidents involved early on in this race. We got some damage as we look at Alvarez, who's having a bit of a lag there in that Alpine. And now we're going to see what's going on here. Luca going to try and set it down the inside. He's ghosted, which may be a good thing, but he's going to get spun! And Luca crashed out of the Grand Prix. That's a lot of damage. I think he's okay in terms of actually still being able to drive, but that's some damage he's going to have to get repaired, as that's another driver we've lost early on in this Grand Prix, as the VSC has come out now to kind of organize whatever went on in there in that start, as there was a brutal start to this Grand Prix. Furthermore, I'm noticing some stuff with the weather. It seems like it might be a wet one here. I'm noticing some slight rain, some slight precipitation, not participation, slight precipitation, and so that may become a problem here in this race. See, I think that was Cyclix there with the broken... No, it's not Cyclix, sorry, that was Luca with the broken front wing. He may also have some damage all over the car, so that's going to be a problem that he has to deal with now, as he's going to have a chance to go into the pits, but I feel like that VSC will probably be ending like right as he goes in, so this is not going to be a great situation for him, unfortunately, but you're not going to drive on a car that's damaged immediately. So there you go, drivers heading into the pits now to go deal with some of those problems. Sashing in P9 at the current moment. Now, of course, he's the driver that's been kind of riding off the high recently. And there's been a crash there, a Mercedes in the background. I think that's Crancy into the wall. And we've lost another car there, as now both the Ferrari and I think Red Bull and Michelle are the two championship contenders going side by side, albeit Alfie without a front wing, which is going to be a problem here as we go into the corner. But Michelle is going to have the speed advantage. Into the corner goes Michelle, and there really wasn't much Alfie could do because he would have had to brake so much earlier just to be able to keep his car on track. And unfortunately for him, he's looking for an opportunity to possibly get a chance here to make a few positions. Goiko's going to go down 2 positions, but Goiko fighting PLG here for P6. Goiko's going to be able to get through, and he gets ahead right now as this battle's slowly heating up. But there's been an issue. Goiko's out of the Grand Prix, Has he cut it a little too early going into Castle Corner? And we've lost the AlphaTauri. The safety car is out in this Grand Prix. And so now, for the people with damage, they actually do have a chance now to go get that damage repaired. As for Goiko, his race ends extremely early on lap 2 in this one. So now into the pits go a lot of these cars getting their repairs done nice and early. Avaric's going to be into the lead in this one, and Cyclics following behind P2. There's a few of the drivers that actually got out with minimal damage, but a lot did get damaged. There's been a lot of chaos off the start. Drivers just not being aware enough in these fights and stuff, especially wheel to wheel. And a track as narrow as Baku, you need to be aware at all times, because you never know if the driver beside you is going to have enough room to overtake you, or if they're going to have to be that. And that's why, as an overtaker too, you have to be smart. You can't just send it down the inside on this track and expect that the room will be left, because there won't be that room. It's a very hard track. Even side by side 2 cars can be difficult in most areas at this circuit. It's a very narrow circuit. And I've seen drivers try and send it side by side through corners like Castle, and well, you know, it's pretty simple as to what happened when that happens. And it's just like, you gotta be smart. You cannot fight like it's the last lap at Baku all the time. It's not gonna work out for you. And unfortunately, I think some drivers have found that out early by creating some collisions or causing some damage to each other. So, interesting one to start. Hopefully the safety car won't be out too long, but my assumption is it will probably be out till about lap 5, where I imagine we'll probably be restarting this race on lap 6, given that it's usually a 2-lap safety car minimum. But if some people are a little further spread apart, which that Mercedes back there of Crancy is, we can probably expect to see a safety car out for, I would say, a 3rd lap. And so, some things to really consider here in this Grand Prix. First things first, Cyclics P2. What is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas, bro? Grim P5, again, same thing. Although Cyclics has shown that he can't actually race with the best if he can get a decent start. So it's not as shocking. But we'll have to see if he can, 1, possibly make that overtake for the lead, and 2, possibly win this race, because of course he's going to have to worry about some of the faster drivers behind. Of course, Michel's gone into the pits, Teo into the pits. A lot of the fast drivers have all gone into the pits, so they're basically starting back where they were, and they're going to have a lot of work there to get back up in the positions and try to hopefully fight for decent positions and possibly get back up into a situation where they can fight for the win. Now, of course, that's not going to be the easiest job for any of these drivers, and it's probably not going to be good. Now, of course, everyone having to go in for repairs too, probably for a spanner in the works in terms of what the tire strategy is looking like, albeit most drivers have gone into the hards. Now, theoretically, if you did start on the mediums, you could practically run the hards all the way till the end of the race, albeit that is a bit of an ask, so most likely I don't expect we'll see too many drivers doing that, although it is possible. Now, a couple drivers also on the mediums, they did do it on the change, although Alvarez and Alex Mejidas did start on the mediums already. Cyclic started on hards, so he did have that going for him, and I think he'll be trying to swap to the medium some point in this race, probably around the halfway point, and so we can expect to see all that stuff kind of play out. And I'm really interested to see what we're going to do. Now, of course, a lot of the drivers are on hards. Most of them did go in during the penalties. Well, we will be doing another lap behind the safety car, which does not shock me at all, considering how this game's programmed and just how the stuff happens. So we'll most likely be restarting this race on lap 6. And so this is just another extra extended period to get your tires warmed and to also save the tires that you just changed onto, because it could be a viable strategy here, especially if another safety car is to happen, which is pretty likely here in a race, because a lot of people do like to so we won't know. We will not know what's going to happen in this one. However, I do think it's going to be quite the interesting race to see how these tire strategies will play out, especially if we do get a case where there will be some more safety cars and stuff. It could very well work towards the hard runners that just changed, because they can just use these to save their tires. They can go nice and light on the tires. They won't have to worry about whether or not they'll make it to the finish, because they'll know they'll make it to the finish. Even another safety car will probably work. So now, safety car is in this lap. Race will be restarting. Alvarez going to be the one tasked with getting this race all said and done. Cyclics behind, of course. Don Charles, Alex Mejidas, the Williams looking very strong here today. Both teams ready to go. Cyclics getting swarmed by both Williams right now. I don't know what's happening here. And this is a very weird start. This is anything but single file. We're going to see Alvarez warming up the tires. You can see him swaying side to side, trying to get some heat in there, but if you don't have the brake temp, you're really not going to gain much heat in those tires, let me tell you. As the race restart happens, Don Charles is going to be getting a free 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag as he retires from the session and just leaves. He just up and left after that penalty. He's done. So he retires on track, and now Alvarez still trying to hold off Cyclics right now. We got side by side between Grimm and Alex Mejidas, but Mejidas is going to be able to get through, and he makes it very easily done. As PLG Global now going to get around Lorenzo, and Gandon getting around the Red Bull. Now, obviously, there's been some controversy with that Red Bull last time he raced, which was all the way back in Zandvoort. Now we're going to see if Gandon has reformed a little bit. We'll see what he can do, as he's going to go side by side now with the Mercedes. Gets around the outside. Beautiful move. Up into P6 there with that one. So Sashin going to be just behind that. He's going to be looking for a possible chance to get a few more positions here. He knows Lorenzo is definitely a slower driver, I think, overall, in comparison to Sashing, who's one of the faster ones. But Sashing has always had a bit of an issue here getting around people. I shouldn't just say here, but he's had an issue in the season getting around people and also keeping his nose clean. He's had a lot of incidents, most of them not his fault, a couple his fault, but hopefully this chance, he might get a chance here to get around and possibly make the moves required to get up and possibly put himself into a challenging position here. If Michello and Alfie don't score many points, he can possibly get himself into a position here to fight for the championship, as Teo, Alfie, and Michello are all kind of down there right now. Obviously, those are the main free championship contenders, albeit Teo's a little more, considerably more unrealistic just because of how far back he is. Sashing finally going to get around the Mercedes. Sashing makes the overtake stick. Cycling's going to get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, albeit it's probably the only true lap of the Grand Prix we've done so far. Oh, there's some carbon fiber flying. Crancy's out of the session. We've lost the Mercedes. Another car out of the Grand Prix now. That is unfortunate. Cycling's building up a bit of a gap. Grimm going down the inside as he makes some contact though with the Alpine into the wall. Big damage for the Alpine. Grimm resets the track, and there is a mess of carbon fiber all laid out in that corner there. And that is unfortunate for the Aston Martin driver, but I do think he was kind of pushing his luck there with that overtake attempt. Crancy has left the session. As Grimm works his way up the field, it's going to be the Alpine of Alvarez getting around the outside of that car. Tom up in the P6 too. We've got some good battles happening at the back, albeit a lot of interesting overtaking decisions being made. Michello also making a move up the field. We got Teo making a move for 11th. He's right behind Luca Zitto in the Alfa Romeo. And this is going to be a chance. It's very hard to keep up with this race right now because so much is happening. But now we got to go on Sashing. We're going to go on board. Telemetry on. We're going to see what Sashing's going to do. He's going to go side by side with the Haas of PLG. PLG trying everything he can to hold the position right now. Might be using a little more overtake. Now, of course, Sashing does know he'll get DRS under the right circumstance. He's going to block the inside line, but Sashing going to be able to get through, and that's going to work fine for Sashing there as he takes that position and says, thank you very much. Is RSC going to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at the current moment now. And Michello making his moves up the field. Up into P6 now goes Michello with a good pass on the Ferrari of Alfio Free Jones. These two, of course, being the big championship contenders, we can expect to see their rivalry continue over race to race, especially if they stay this close with each other. But they're all making their way up the field as well. Sashing doing a great job of cutting through the field. And Gandon now, the other Red Bull, looking very strong. As now Red Bull might be looking at a very big haul of points if they can both finish ahead of both Ferraris. Any advantage can be a good one in a race like this, as the Alpine of Alvarez is going to bring out a caution there in the second sector. Although not much to come of it, sorry, first sector. And it's been quite the event there. Alfio Free Jones, though, going to have DRS on Michello. He's now going to try and see if he can try and sneak an overtake. He's going to go to the inside now, side by side, down the inside. Try to keep the contact to a minimum. Michello trying to block any chance of that happening, but Alfie going to be able to get through. And up into P6 now, but the DRS is now going to be on Michello's side, as now he's going to try to use that to get around. Lap 9 of 26, this battle between the two championship contenders already heating up early on in this one. And the Aston Martin's going to get a little bit of wall there, as Teo now looking for a chance to get by. He's going side by side. Oh, almost gets locked out there. Teo backs out. He knows better than to challenge something like that and take the damage. He knew the Aston Martin was not going to give the space there. And this track can be very difficult to give the space too. You can expect a lot of doors to be shut very early on before the move's even ever made. And that's just one example of that. Oh, as we lose the McLaren in Castle section, and that's safety car number 2. And we've lost another car. That's going to be the McLaren there of KZ Matty. Unfortunate as we lose our 4th driver of the day. This is Baku in almost any league, a difficult track. And for the most part, especially with big grids, it is an incident haven. And so unfortunately, we're going to be behind the safety car again. Now, this could be a chance here for drivers to, say, change to the mediums. If you want to, you might be able to make a change now, especially for guys like Cyclix, who's, yeah, he's going to go in for mediums. Gandon going in. We can expect to probably see the change for mediums or hards for some drivers if they started on mediums or are on mediums. So basically, yeah, theoretically, if this is the last safety car, this very much could be tires till the end of the race now. For most drivers, this is basically a guaranteed, like, tire to the end of the race situation. For basically anyone, actually. If you pit now. So you might as well take the opportunity to get into the pits, take the change. You're going to get that chance to get that time back anyways. Lorenzo, though, does make the odd decision of staying out. I don't know if he has another tire strategy planned out, or if he just was not ready for the pit or decided he didn't want to go in. However, I do think it would have been the smart move to go in, take a new set of tires, because you know they'll last till the end. It's an interesting strategy, but I don't know. We'll have to see how that's going to work. I mean, obviously he was in the change window in the last one, and so given that situation, we do know that he was, in fact, very much in a good spot, all things considered, getting onto those hards. But the question is, will those hards last all the way to lap 26? Because we're talking probably about 24 laps of wear on those hard tires near the end. This is almost like Teo levels of tire strategy. Actually, this is more than Teo levels of tire strategy. This is insane. Now, I'm not saying it can't work, but I'm saying the chance that it does is slim to none. And now for some drivers, they've lost some positions that they are not happy about. And for other drivers, they've had a chance to move up the field. Now, obviously, Michello is kind of the guy right now currently holding on to the points. As for detail, Alfio Free Jones up 13 positions right now, along with Sashing, who's gone up 13 up into P3. Sashing's been having an absolute dream of a race right now. He just needs to get up ahead of Cyclix and Lorenzo, and this safety car is a perfect opportunity to possibly get some quicker corner exits than them, move a little bit faster. If you can stay close, get that DRS. If it takes more than a couple laps, and get ahead and then try and run away with the race before, you know, Gandon, Alfie, Michello, before those guys really start taking off and trying to make their way through the field. For Sashing, this could be a perfect opportunity here to make those positions up nice and early. And given the tire situation, I don't see why not. Why not give it a try? You most likely will be able to make it to the end of the race, because we're already talking about by the time the safety car comes in, we're probably going to already be at about the halfway point in this one. So you might as well take the risk, take the chance. If you have to be a little bit aggressive, be a little bit aggressive. Now, don't be stupid either. But if you can make those positions nice and early, you could very well get yourself into a decent spot, or get yourself into P1 if you're Sashing early on in this race, because you know you're faster than Cyclix and Lorenzo, at least overall as the driver. Now, of course, will you be faster than them in Baku, and will you be able to get past them is another question. It's easy to think you're faster, but it's difficult to think how to get past them, especially if the both of them start battling or get into a situation, because there really is not much room on this track to go free abreast unless it's sector free. Now, obviously, sector 3 is probably your biggest chance at overtaking with the long DRS zone and basically a massive straight. And actually, safety car will be in this lap, so actually we'll be continuing on lap 12 in this one. So fortunately, it's only a 2-lap safety car, so for the people waiting for the action, it's already coming back. And Lorenzo going to be the one tasked with restarting this race, getting everybody set up. You're going to want to warm the brakes up on this one. And make sure you have those brakes warm so you can irradiate that heat into the tires. That is the best way to warm up those tires and get yourself into a good spot here. Especially if you can get a good start, jump it a little bit, catch the guys in front off guard a little bit. And if you go across the line, especially if this is going to be a delayed start, this is the question I have to ask. When's the start coming? And the start's come now. And I think Sashin going to go side by side. As long as he doesn't pass before the line, I think he'll be fine, but they are going to be side by side. Sashing looking for an early chance to get around Cyclics, not going to be able to get it there. Gandon going to get around PLG Global though, nice and early, and now might be challenging Sashing for a possible fight here. As he makes it very easy. Tom going to get into a battle side by side with Bot Refox. And now we're going to see what these two are going to do side by side. Refox on the inside though, going to be able to hold the position. Michello might try and make an overtake too. He's not going to get a chance, though, to do it yet. They're still side by side. Michello has to be patient here, and Michello was patient, and it paid off as the Alpine spins over the front of the Aston Martin. And, well, that was nice and quick. That got that done, so Michello will take that 2 positions for 1 deal there. He'll order a 2-for-1 combo with a side of fries there. Up in the P8 is Michello. Alfio Free Jones looking to make a couple positions here. Cyclist gets around Lorenzo now, and no overtaking we can expect into Castle Corner because that would be a risky move. Now it can work. I have seen 2 cars fit in there simultaneously side by side, but it's not easy, and nor is it something I recommend because the chance of completing that is way lower than the chance of crashing doing that. So Gandon in front of PLG now. As now Sashin gonna get the overtake done on the Mercedes there, up ahead of Lorenzo now. And now we might see side by side as Gandon's gonna get the overtake done, trying to get as much slipstream as possible. The Red Bull moving to the outside, trying to get around, trying to get a decent line too. But Sashing is way smarter than that and knows to block off. But there's another safety car. Something's happened. Safety car again. And that's our 3rd one this race, as we've had 3 in this one. What has happened now? I have no clue, but there must be some damage because I think we have another safety car here in this one. So safety car has been brought out in this one. Sun is up. Safety car is out. And at this point in this Grand Prix, we've probably done just as many laps under a safety car as we have racing in this one. I think we can have 1 more safety car in the race, and then I think that is the game's hard-coded limit of 4 safety cars. But unfortunately for the drivers, this is again just another point of neutralization in this race. Cyclics' lead going to be cut down again, and now with Sashing behind him too, looking for a chance to get into P1. Gandon behind as well. So Cyclics' job, the job that he spent time trying to get up and running by trying to get ahead of everybody nice and early in this one, has gone to a complete waste because now he's once again got Sashing and Gandon right on his rear end, and he's going to have to try and keep ahead of the both of them. Now, of course, he does have the tire advantage being on the mediums, But just because he has a tire advantage doesn't mean he's at any better of a situation in this one. Michello into the pits, Grimm into the pits, Rafox into the pits, Alvarez into the pits, Lorenzo into the pits. So those 5 have all pitted. So with that safety car out, not much to talk about. Cyclics, of course, in front of the McLaren and the Red Bull. As for what you may want to see, which is the positions and just how the movement has been throughout the Grand Prix. Up 14 for Saching, up 13 for Alfie, up 10 for Teo, up 6 for Michello, up 14 for Saching. Obviously, we already said that. As for our biggest loser, Alvarez, down 12. So unfortunately for him, that's not really great, all things considered. Cyclic's up 9, too. He's been holding around the top spots for quite a while in this race. And so that's kind of an unexpected performance for him. I mean, we know he did well in Monza, but that is a very different track from Baku, and I was not expecting to see him up here for this long. I was expecting someone to take challenges of 40, but to be fair, the safety cars have been a big helper here. But we will see if he has a chance here to win this race now. But he does have to worry about the McLaren and the Red Bull behind him, because Saching and Gandon are very quick drivers, and they will be looking for a chance to strike at any point in this Grand Prix. And I know who my pick for driver of the day is. It's the safety car, Bernd Mailander. He's been putting in the work today, and yeah, he's been quite the driver today. So props to Bernd Mailander, the driver of the day. Thank you for your service. At this point, I can say the safety car. I can say thank you for your service to the safety car, because it's been an active war zone here on this racetrack. But now here we go. Cyclics getting this started. Saching getting ready to set up. Gandon getting ready to set up. This is the race now. It's going to be free abreast, I think, off the start. This is going to be an interesting strategy now as the race has started now. Gandon, though, looking a little slower on the launch. And now PLG going to try and get through. He's going to back off into side-by-side with Alfio Free Jones. There's been contact. RRC going to be spun around early on in this one. And when I say early on in this one, I mean early on in the restart. So that's happened nice and early in this Grand Prix. Lorenzo now making a move up into P7. Gonna get around Luco Zitto. Luco Zitto, though, might be under a bit of threat there. The Alpine gonna have to back out. Tom not gonna be able to make an overtake. Michello up into P9 now. He's chasing down the Alfa Romeo. Now as we focus on the battle for the lead right now, Sashing trying to go side by side with Cyclix. Don't do it in the castle corner. No, they don't. He wasn't close. No! Very close in the castle corner. There could have been some bad damage there, but he manages to keep the car together, and more importantly, keep the driving together. He gets a little closer to the wall than I think he would have liked there, and almost risks spinning himself out or getting some bad damage and retiring from this race. That would have been a safety car number 4 incident right there. So Sashing now chasing down Cyclix. He might get the chance here real soon. Cyclix, though, doing a good job. Cyclix actually having some very promising pace in this race. He's shown to be pretty damn good here in Baku. And so it is nice to see what he's capable of, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold off Sashing for much longer. He might be able to hold him off here, but I don't know if he'll get a chance in a lap or two's time, especially when the DRS starts to show, and the drivers are trying to then figure that out. Another thing to worry about too is there has been some mentions on the forecast of rain. I don't think it will get to the race before the end, but there's still a slight possibility. And if it does come a little bit earlier than we expect, we might see the track start to get a little slippery there. And especially if it's right near the end, then it's going to be a test of who's the best here on slick tires on a wet circuit. That's not a skill most drivers that I feel develop a lot. And it's kind of an underrated skill, because when you do get rain at the end, if you don't know what you're doing on the slick tires, you could find yourself in a bad spot real early on in this race. But Sashing gets passed by Gandon too, which is something to talk about now. So now Gandon's going to have a crack at Cyclix. They've basically tagged them out. Gandon got by, and now Gandon chasing down Cyclix for P1. Now Gandon did retire both of Cyclix's teammates. Or I say both his drivers. So they might have a bit of beef here going into this one. Michello, a 1:44.37, takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix early on in this one. Gandon now looking around the outside, not going to be able to get the move done, so it's not going to happen this time around. DRS should be open now, as he's going to get the chance here. Down the inside on Cyclix, there's some contact there. Cyclix trying to shove Gandon, Gandon not barging. Sashing going to get through, though. Sashing up into P1 with that. As he gets a little slide there, Snappa oversteer. He's able to save it, though, and keep his car running straight, fortunately. Cyclix now, unfortunately, not really able to keep holding up this pace now as he starts to fall down the field a little bit, especially now Sashing and Gandon taking the lead of the Grand Prix and basically now trying to run away with it as the laps are starting to close down in this one. Right now it seems it's Sashing's race to lose, though. He is the one ahead, but I think Gandon may have the tactical advantage if we look in terms of ERS. Although I do think right now, of course, Sashing is the one who doesn't have to use ERS at the moment. And so he's basically just trying to defend against whatever Gandon's attacks will be. Now, of course, Gandon does have the DRS advantage, and even if he has a little less ERS, he will be able to get by, and then it will be a case of Gandon trying to conserve ERS for the attack and Sashing trying to make the ERS for the attack. And it's going to be a back-and-forth battle, basically a push-and-pull battle between Gandon and Sashing till the end of the race. Unless, of course, someone can take it, but there's fourth safety car out. Something's happened to someone, and number 4 is out in this race. As there's been some damage at some point. I think it's between the Aston Martin of Grimm, who's lost another front wing, and Alex Mahedas. He's, I think, was into the contact area with the two of them, and so it just gets worse between them. As now that fourth safety car is out, everyone might as well swap to softs now because it's going to be like a 4-lap shootout. You might as well take the risk. I don't think anyone's going to be staying out here. Everyone on to softs now, I expect, is what we're going to see for this shootout to the finish. So Gandon in the lead for this one, and he'll be leading everybody into the pits to change on to the softs. Race will probably be restarted on about lap 20 or 22. Sashing getting loose under the safety car. This is crazy. Fox is going to be given a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Gandon actually going to stay out, interestingly enough. So Sashing pits for the softs. I think for most that will be the popular strategy. And yeah, sure enough, although Gandon staying out on the mediums, he might be planning for the rain to come in. Albeit I don't know if the rain, if it does come in, will be wet enough there to say change to intermediates, especially if it's just light rain. As Tom's out of the Grand Prix, I think he's just made a decision to retire because of time constraints. Now on to lap 21. Probably, I imagine we'll be doing this lap behind the safety car. I think the drivers behind should be close enough to catch up. And with that in mind, I think we'll probably be restarting this race on lap 22. But I guess we'll have to see. Again, though, interesting choice. Alvarez onto Inters. And yeah, you can see those clouds coming over the track. It will rain for certain. And now I think some drivers, aka cyclists, who went onto the mediums might be having some second thoughts about that choice now, if the rain gets bad. And Gandon might have some second thoughts too, as he's on some very worn mediums. Here we go now, Gandon getting us ready for this one. That's tire strategy. As for what it looks like here in position changes, Gandon up 14, Sashing up 14, Alfie up 14, Michello up 12, and Cyclix and PLG both up 7. Almost everyone else has gone downwards. And there we go, the race has started. Up again, side by side goes Gandon and Sashing. They both get contact. Gandon broken front wing. Big contact there. That's going to make a big difference in this race. Cyclix is around. No! There goes another car. PLG Global, P2, Michello up into P3 now. And now the Michello show is just coming around as the rain is starting to fall onto the track. At least it looks like rain. Yes, it is. The rain is starting to fall on the track now. There it is. And now, this is about to become a really interesting race now for everyone. Will the rain hold out enough? Will everyone get the grip they need? Gandon really struggling back there now. He's got the damage, and he's probably kind of angry. But the question is, whose fault is it? That is something we'll have to see when the FIA finally comes through on that one. But Michello now chasing down PLG Global. And looking to try and catch up, because if he can get around PLG Global, then he can chase down Sashing. This race is about to come to a dramatic end. If Michello can make the overtake on PLG, as we're going to go on telemetry now. And you can see the rain. It's not coming down soon. It's coming down, I wouldn't say super lightly. The spray is noticeable already. And I think that change to wets is going to be real soon, probably next lap. So I think the soft tires was the right strategy call. If anything, maybe it might be worth going in right now. And I think Michello's going to take that risk, as he's going to go in nice and early and try and get it done. As he gets a little snap of oversteer there. And yeah, going in now is the strategy. Michello going in early, trying to undercut everybody by getting onto the tires early and hopefully not having a very spin-filled or slippery lap, unlike everyone else. And yeah, everyone behind Michello following his lead going into the pits. And so unfortunately for Lorenzo, PLG, and Sashing, they might be very vulnerable now, because this lap will be a slow one as the rain is pouring onto the track. So a dramatic wet ending is what we're going to see in this Grand Prix. And Michello, with that strategy call, might have just set himself up into a perfect position that when Sashing and PLG comes into the pits, they might have those seconds and might be able to get them back. As Gandon's going to retire from the session, and his race is set and over with. He's gone into the pits and retired. He's calling it a day. Now Varrick's going to be given a free second time penalty for corner cutting. The McLaren of Sashing! He's into the wall! Sashing's out of the Grand Prix! He's lost his front wing! He's gone into the wall. He was not able to brake in time. He misjudged his braking line, and there was no way he could have got the car stopped in time. Sashing's out. What has just happened? We've lost the McLaren, which means Michello very much is in a position now to be racing for the race win here, while Alfie O'Free Jones is down in 8th and is going to lose out those points to Michello big time now. As we've lost another car, Lorenzo crashes into the pit lane. The rain is brutal. We've lost almost half the field. Actually, we have lost half the field. 10 racers out. 9 racers right now in the list, and Michello is in the lead in this one, and very much so, as he played the strategy perfectly, and the rain came pouring down way faster than I think anyone expected. It's not just light rain. I think it's heavy rain, and it is an absolute nightmare now for any driver that isn't Michello or the ones that pitted. Wow, what a dramatic ending to this Grand Prix, but I do think it's going to ultimately end with Michello winning it, as he's built that 8-second gap with that early pit stop to give him such a big advantage here, as now Luca Zitto looking to make a chance here for P4 as he tries to go with Graham as they get into each other. The Ferrari of Alfie and Luca almost get into each other now, and this race, albeit it's been an absolute mess, and this rain did not help near the end. It has had some good battles too, as now Luca Zitto is just trying to get under, is just staying ahead of Alfie O'Free Jones. So unfortunately for some drivers, this is just horrendous. And for Alfie, who just needs as many points as he can muster up right now, he's not finding the overtaking lane on Luca. And it's just becoming so hard here for Alfie to get around that Ferrari. Alfie to get around that Alfa Romeo. But he might get a chance here now on the straight. He's going to need to get into the slipstream. There's going to be no DRS, obviously, in these last laps because of the rain being as heavy as it is. And Michello took the risk, went in early, and well, I would say he went in early, but I actually think he went on at the most opportune time there as the rain came down quick. As we now are on the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix, Luca Zitto still doing enough to hold off Alfie O'Free Jones, who just isn't finding an answer. He isn't finding a way to get around, and the Alpha is just playing that defense. Alfie now looking for another chance. He's going to go side by side. They're going to make contact, lock wheels. Alfie, Luca Zitto's out of the Grand Prix. And I think Alfie went for too aggressive of a move there. And that's a move by Alfie that I don't think he can afford. He might have been part of the reason there. Luca Zitto had crashed. And we've lost another driver. Alfio Free Jones, I think, just taking out his frustration there, trying to get around. Maybe it was accidental. I don't know if he was taking out his frustration. But in the end, Luca Zitto out of the Grand Prix now. And that's another driver gone and dealt with. Well, most of the race is done. Michello starts the final lap of the Grand Prix, and he's almost 10 seconds ahead of anyone else. And so now, Michello enters Sector 2 now. He's just a little bit away from hoisting that Grand Prix gold and adding another one to the win book this season. It was a slow start from Michello as Vickwick took an early start to the championship, albeit Vickwick was not here for this Grand Prix. Maybe in a way that's a good thing because this was chaos. But now Michello looking to really put the points and close into Vic very strongly in this race. And now Michello coming around to the final sector now. Just one long straight with a few kinks between him and Grand Prix Gold. 10 seconds ahead. Michello, hasn't really been around the front most of the time. He only really got there near the end of the Grand Prix, but it was opportune by going in for the intermediates a little bit earlier than those three guys ahead were willing to. And with Sashing crashing out, he got the perfect opportunity, took it, and wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and has an absolutely classic drive as he gains 17 positions in this one. And what a race. As Cyclix and Alvarez make up the final guys coming across the line. Cyclix gets across. And now all we wait for is Alvarez, who's still finishing off Sector 2. He's just started on Sector 2 now, coming through Castle Corner. And I think we're just waiting on Alvarez now to come across the line. And so BD finishes P4. What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? We'll never know. But he's there. And so Michello from out of nowhere to take the victory in this one with a picture-perfect strategy and perfect timing on that call to pit for the intermediates. And it works perfectly now. And so there you go. Michello gets to taste that winner's champagne. And put it like that, he will take a race win like that at any point. It was chaotic. It was a mess, but in the end, Michello Does a good job of making it work. And I don't think he has anything to complain about with this one. So, I'm your host, Biggie Smoke. What a chaotic season. Sorry, not season. Race in Baku. And I am just dumbfounded on what we just watched. Regardless, though, Michello, that picture-perfect call, wins the race. RRC P2, Rafox third, Grim fourth, Alfie fifth, sixth is PLG, Cyclic seventh, and Alvarez eighth as the only guys to finish the Grand Prix, as everyone else from 9th to 19th had all retired. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with HRL Round 10. As the championship battle proceeds to heat up.